think we're getting towards digital newsrooms right now. We're stood here in a TV area in what was formerly purely a newswire newsroom. We're producing tablet products, mobile products, a website, a newspaper and a wire service, and a variety of websites built around that wire service. We're constantly thinking about how to take our content, which after all now is mostly digital, and push it into our consumers' hands, both in businesses and as consumers. So I think we're standing in a digital newsroom right now.
The number of journalists working, particularly in print media, have been cut to a level which is pretty much unsustainable. There's less capacity to go out and cover stories, and more people are desk bound and are using Google more than sources for stories. The number of press releases being recycled for the media has increased substantially over the past 10 years or so.
A very, very high percentage of our staff are now multi-skilled. In addition, we've looked at the way that we organise our newsroom. The command desk within the operation now draws up the news agenda and works out how we tell those stories in the right way to go across every platform.
News is now flowing in linear fashion, onto headline screens, onto websites, and then into print, sort of in a seamless flow, if you will. So news is moving faster. It's a 24-hour cycle. It doesn't quit. It's instant, but it's also reflective. I think newspapers and also wire services like us are having some degree of convergence. And by that I mean that we're doing more in-depth step-back stories to give our readers perspective and interpretation and analysis of events. Meanwhile, newspapers and magazines, which traditionally had done those things, are now doing more stuff in not quite real time, but they're putting out news in on websites in sort of near real time, you might say.
I think now what has changed is the public are actually involved in the story making before you've actually published or broadcast your actual first story, because they're effectively making their comments on Twitter. You've got a reaction to something happening before you first broadcast or publish it, and that's changed. Their public are involved much more in news gathering than they ever were when I first started.
Once upon a time we just had the one option of writing a story, and now we can do interactive graphics and videos and all sorts of multimedia that we never had at our disposal before.
The expectation of immediacy can be a little bit at odds with accuracy, and we have to work very hard to make sure that those two don't bump up against each other in bad ways. But I think that people being able to have the true facts that help them understand their world and put that together, I think that's a huge thing. The quicker we can get people what really happened, the better decisions they can make about their lives, and that's true of our customers and of our customers' customers.
The NUJ doesn't have an issue with people choosing to distribute their content for free. We don't have an issue with blogs. In fact, we've got members who are bloggers. Where we do have an issue is with companies that historically did pay journalists and should be paying journalists and are profiting from the material written by journalists, decide to do the same, and instead of being part of an activist tool or an open space, effectively become an exploitation system. We see it not just with freelance journalists, but we also see it with interns, we see it with other people. More and more of the media industry seems to think that they can get their content for nothing, and that's simply not acceptable.